Weapons Magazine! Hi everyone, and welcome to our top 10 tips for the Rainmaker Ranked Battle in Splatoon 2. So this is a pretty tough mode, especially when you get higher up the ranking, so hopefully our tips can help you win more games, not get splatted quite so often, and also take the fight to the competition a little bit better. So kicking off with our first top tip, which is to learn the best routes in the game. So essentially each level is slightly different, and the only way you're really going to learn the best routes is to test and learn. So you need to kind of experiment with different routes to take, understand where the goal is, look at how you get from one place to another, and it will help you out. But also kind of use environmental factors like the high wires there, for example. You can move around a little bit easier and just take the fight to the competition a little bit better, which is quite useful. So moving on to the second tip, which is to clear a path. There's two reasons this is important. Number one, it's about taking out the competition, but number two, it's about actually laying down a path for your teammates to follow behind you. So you can see I'm just sort of trying to lay down as much paint as possible, so that this guy that's got the Rainmaker's got a chance to get as close as we can to the end goal. And there again, I'm just kind of making it easy again. So firing straight back into the action, back to laying down the paint, taking out opposition, making it as easy as possible for us to get to the path and get to the goal and win the games. So if you focus on that kind of mentality, you will just win more games in this one. So here you can see kind of, it looks like the opposition have got control, but there we go, just take all those out. We get control of the Rainmaker, and then it's a case of following my guy all the way in and protecting him as he kind of goes. And as a result, we can get into a better position, and you can see just take out the enemies where they're going to focus on the Rainmaker, so you can move away. So the next tip is that when you do get the Rainmaker, you need to duck and dive. This is essentially, you need to move fast, but you need to be a bit careful too. So you could see with the previous section, I essentially just I just literally ran straight to the goal because I'd already cleared a path. But if you're more in the middle, then you're going to face a lot more opposition. So you're going to need to run away. You're going to need to try and make a path. You're going to need to try and get moving as quickly as possible and get as close to the goal as you can. By doing that, it means you'll get a little bit closer than the competition. So for example, for games that go all the way through to the end, if you haven't made it to the goal but you've still made it further, then you're going to win more games. So making sure you duck and dive, move out of the way of competition, move out of the way of the opposition, get out of the way. You can see there's a whole big load of splats coming in my way now, and just getting out of the way of everything that gets in your way will mean that you will hold the Rainmaker for a little bit longer, give your teammates more time to be able to get the Rainmaker and get the competition, and give you a chance to get further forward in the game. So here you can see taking the Rainmaker, just laying down some paint, get in as close as possible to the prize. You can see I've got a little guy here clearing the route, and then I'm trying to focus on getting as close as I can to the end goal there. And so by doing that, it means you end up winning a few more games. You can see they're super close there. They're clearly in the lead of me at the time, but the important thing is to focus on trying to get as close as possible to the end prize. So the next tip is to just keep swimming. Here you've just got to keep moving as much as possible. If you just keep walking and walking towards the enemy, then they're literally just going to take you out. So by ducking down under the water and moving around quickly, you'll be able to take more of the enemy out. There you go, you can see I ducked under the water, ducked under the paint really quickly, span around the enemy, and managed to kill them. So here you go, I'm just doing it again, just swim around, swim around, swim around, and kill the enemy. So by utilizing this function and making sure you've got a little path, so every time you see you've got too much enemy paint in the way, lay yourself a little path down so that you can move. So there you go, I can see there's a few guys there, managed to take him out. He took me out, but I took out a fair few of their guys too. So there you go, firing back in. We've got the Rainmaker. You can see just swimming. I can see there was trouble there, so I went around the corner. Again, kind of going around the corner, I can see they're coming out two after me. So then managed to kill him. So by focusing on moving and getting underwater, you make yourself a really difficult target. And it's a really important tip because it can just help you kill so many more of the opposition, or splat so many more of the opposition, as you can see there. So just, it doesn't matter which weapon you're using as well, just swim, swim, fire, swim, swim, fire, and if you keep doing that, then you'll do better. So when you do get close to winning the prize, or you do get close to the goal, the next tip to use is to use your special weapons as a big push. Now ideally, everyone on your team will be on the same page with that, so that as you go for that big final push to make it to the goal, everybody uses their final weapon and allows you to get there a little bit easier. So again, sort of making some great routes, clearing the path, and then going in with the special prize here, the special weapon, which allows me to create a route for my guys to use later on. And it's really beneficial to do this as much as you can. It doesn't always kind of work out, but sometimes it can be really cool and, you know, really help you to get the win. So you can see there I'm just sort of laying down a nice easy path for my guys to follow when they do get the Rainmaker. So they've managed to get the Rainmaker there. The enemy had got like 29 points remaining. We got 63. Managed to take out quite a few guys there, and there you go. We've suddenly taken the lead. Brilliant. That's exactly what you need to do essentially. So a big tip is also to outflank your enemies. And this is essentially where you move around obstacles, or you get behind your enemy to be able to take them out. It also means using their vantage points and high points. So if you can get behind enemy lines kind of thing, then it means you'll just be able to kill more of the enemies. So here you go, sort of using the flanking position, coming around, moving around the outside there. Spinning around on the enemies, and then you can see I've managed to come behind this person and splat them eventually. So it can take a little bit of time and effort, but it's really worth putting some practice time into the whole concept of kind of move around the enemy, use vantage points in high positions. So you can see there, just sort of waiting to see who's coming, and I can see somebody's moved in there, so then I can move in with a splat. So by doing that, it means that I'm less of a target myself, but also I can wait for them to become an easier target and just take out more of them in the route to what is an epic win there. So essentially just use the course as best you can to be able to create a win by going around enemies and moving around obstacles to make it easier for you to get to the end goal. And there you go, you can see we got the win as a result. So next is the sub weapon. Now most tips that you'll see for Splatoon really emphasize the importance of using the sub weapon, and it is important, and it's a really good idea just to try and use this every now and again and not forget that you've got this sub weapon. So you can see here I'm essentially using it to try and clear a route and get people out the way on the way up to the goal. And by focusing on sort of throwing out the sub weapon and using it in a smart way, I can force enemies to do things or start to panic. You can see there using it at the start just to push them back to be able to get the Rainmaker right from the very beginning. Okay, so next tip is Rainmaker destruction. This is essentially where you don't have the Rainmaker, the enemy's got the Rainmaker, and what you want to do is clear them out as quickly as possible. So the reason for this is you want to halt them moving closer to your goal, because a lot of times these matches go through to the end, and if you've let them get a bit too close and you're not further in, then you end up losing. So it's a really important tip to focus on. Don't worry about some of the opposition. Make sure you get the guy with the Rainmaker, get the person with the Rainmaker, because if you can get them, it means they're slowed down. You can see there we managed to take the Rainmaker back from them entirely. So again, just sort of focusing on that, hone in on where the Rainmaker is, get straight for them and take them out. And yeah, I died, but they died too. So tip number 9, vantage points. This is about using high ground to pull off epic splats. So essentially, each route's going to have different kinds of high ground, and what you're trying to do is take out the enemy where you can by using vantage points. Now this can be one of two things. You can either camp, hide underneath the paint, or you can use high points to be able to wait for them to come into position. You can see they're just waiting, jump in, and managed to get off some really good splats there, so a good couple of splats along the way. And there you can see again, using that high vantage point, jumping in, taking back the Rainmaker, and suddenly we're in a much better position to win the game. So yeah, you know, you're going to die a few times, but sometimes you can pull off epic moves like that and you take out 3 people straight away. So use high vantage points, use opportunities to sort of wait for people to move into an easy kill position like that, and suddenly you've got 2, maybe 3 kills in the bag to be able to help your team to get to the win a little bit closer. So our final tip in our top 10 is analytics. And this is one that probably a lot of you have not even thought about. But the idea here is to use stats to your own advantage. So there's 2 stats for you to be aware of. Firstly, understanding how many kills you get, but equally having a look how many kills the best person on either your team or the opposition team gets. If they're using a particular weapon really well, then maybe you want to try it yourself to see what works best for you. Ideally, what you're looking for is the weapon that gives you most kills per games. Okay, so that's the end of our top 10 tips. Hopefully you've enjoyed the entire video, and hopefully I'll help you to win more games and make it more difficult for me to win games going forward. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos in the future, and let us know what you think of the video in the comments below. Cheers guys, thanks, goodbye. Magazine!